Hello and welcome to Realm's Edge Gaming. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the latest issue of White Dwarf, issue number 466. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, if you could do so, that'd be fantastic. And if you could drop a like and a comment below, that'd be much appreciated too. I'd really like to have a chat with you and see what you think about this issue of White Dwarf. Just before we kind of get into the magazine itself, apologies for kind of not posting very much at the moment. It's been really busy with work, but hopefully we'll kind of get back into the swing of things, and I'll be posting content a little bit more regularly. So we've got our front cover here of our latest issue. We've got the Maggotkin of Nurgle, who are battling against the Stormcast Eternals. So a really nice front cover. Then we've got Lyle Lowry, his kind of introduction, and this one's a little bit different because it's kind of wishing a happy retirement to Jervis Johnson, who you'll be probably familiar with as kind of one of the main figures in many of the kind of games that we play today. Here we've got our contents page. So we've got Flashpoint Octarius, Tale of Four Warlords, A Light in the Darkness, Fantastical Realms, Cities of Sigmar, and then into the Cities of Sigmar. And there is a tear out sheet too, with some additional kind of characters for Blood Bowl, I believe. So we'll move on to our contact page. I'm not really normally one for kind of 40k dioramas, but this one has been done so tastefully and really kind of faithfully recreated the artwork over there. I think they've done a fabulous job of doing that. But I kind of, as I mentioned before, I think, you know, even if you don't play a gaming system, there's always something you might be able to take away, be it a colour scheme, a conversion, or some terrain. We've got some more models here which are beautifully painted. We've got a really nice Lady Alinda. We've got an Iron Jaws and Mega Boss. And we've got a couple more miniatures here, and then we've got painting question. In the Tome Celestial for the Anvils of the Heldenhammer, you introduce Lord Arcanum Linus Galmorian on his Griff Charger, Cattlefak. I'd love to add this model to the Sempiternals force, but some information on how to paint him. And that is a really nice kind of colour scheme. It's very kind of cool colours. The colours actually remind me of the Cabradis. Lots of kind of pale green, blues. Nice cold palette there. Got a Lady Alinda there. And an Ask Grombrindle. And the question there is all about, I think it's the Dread Pageant in the Beastgrave Warhammer Underworld set. Worlds of Warhammer, delving into the background of the Age of Sigmar and the 41st millennium. This month, the very greatest of legends is being celebrated. The Celestant Prime himself, Jervis Johnson. Got some kind of history about him and what he's kind of done as well. And then we move on to an eternity of war games. Wow, after nearly 4 decades of service, Jervis Johnson is handing over his games designer baton, +1 to hit, to a new generation of creative minds. Here we take a look at just some of the many games and projects that he's worked on. And to be honest, I hadn't realised how many it was. It really is an extensive catalogue. And, a really nice trip down memory lane for some of those gaming systems as well. Got Blood Bowl, Warhammer 40k. This is kind of around the time that I got into gaming, Warhammer. 1993, 1996 Warhammer Fantasy 5th edition. So there we go. And that was, I think, the Empire and the Orcs and Goblins set there. So really nice to kind of revisit some of these kits, sets, and ideas as well. Wow, the old catechins as well. So yeah, some really nice kind of timeline and chronology there. And then we'll move on to our Warhammer 40,000 section. I think the kind of artwork here is really cool. We've got some Tyranids fighting, and the flashpoint is called Blood and Snow. It says the galaxy is being torn asunder, with new war zones exploding into life with ever-increasing frequency. In the first instalment of a new series, we travel deep into the Ultima Segmentum to the beleaguered worlds of the Octarius sector, where something wholly alien is about to occur. So we've got some lore kind of setting the scene, some strike force, and again, a kind of narrative to complement that. And I really like how Games Workshop and White Dwarf are doing this, where you've kind of got your narrative side before kind of having the rules that kind of sit alongside it as well. I think it's done really tastefully, really nicely done, really classy, and the stories are always really good quality. And as I've said before, like kind of with the dioramas, I don't mind reading the stories at all, because I think the way that they're written is so well that there's always something that you can take away, whether it's a turn of phrase or, you know, a character that's cool. So this is about deep beneath the mirror sea, Space Marines of the Dark Kraken's chapter make slow progress towards their objective. The denizens of the deep watch them hungrily, for there are new predators in the ocean that consume all in their path. There we go. We've got some data sheets, the Dark Krakens, Theatre of War, some nice rules that kind of give it a bit more thematic interest. And then we've got Dangerous Specimens, a Flashpoint mission, before we reach A Tale of Four Warlords, where we've got the armies of Space Marines, Necrons, Sisters of Battle, and the Orcs. So we've got a little bit of colour schemes there, so if you are interested in painting up the Sons of Medusa, the Thoct Dynasty, Order of the Argent Shroud, and the Goths as well. There are some ideas there. I have to say, I like how they've kind of used, I think that's from the Gobapalooza, so there's that. And there was a really cool Sisters of Battle, actually, where they've kind of modelled kind of almost like a flaming head and weaponry there, which is quite cool too. There they are in all their glory. Nice kind of cool, cold colour scheme for the Necrons. Alex Attempts Tabletop, actually, I think recently did a kind of tutorial on painting a kind of colder Necron scheme, which is really cool. So if you've not checked out that channel, I could highly recommend it. Really good content, really interesting, and yeah, definitely check it out. Order of the Argent Shroud, the Goths. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the Orc reinforcements are this weekend, because they're kind of getting their the kind of squig reinforcements for 40k, which will probably offer quite a few conversion opportunities. Then we've got A Light in the Darkness. During the Indomitus Crusade, Torchbearer task forces were assigned the duty of furnishing the Marine chapters with Primaris technologies. They're amongst the clandestine and important enactors of Reboot Gilliman's grand strategy. Some nice text. The hunt for Morwen. Having travelled across the galaxy in search of the Knights of Morwen, Custodian Demetrad and Arcanalist Corporonus finally discover a clue to their whereabouts. But as with all things, such secrets come at a cost. So again, kind of more text. We've got some kind of rules that would kind of add a bit more thematic interest to the game. And then these are your kind of pull-out ones as well. So we've got some, that was the, if I remember, the Kraken ones, the Predators of the Deep, and then we've got the Blood Bowl characters too. Here we go, we've got some Crusade Relics. Oh, really nice. Emissaries Imperatus. I really like these ones where you've got your kind of colour schemes and painting tutorials. We've got Battle Ready all the way through to Parade Ready. And you know what, some really nice kind of details here. I imagine that some of these kind of skills here with the gold and the gems, you could translate quite easily to Stormcast. Some interesting ideas. And then we've got Echoes from the Warp. This month's article is about secondary objectives and how to get the most out of them. Quite weighty article before moving on to the Age of Sigmar. And that is kind of a really kind of cool opening page. and we're going to be having a look. This one really delved into the cities of Sigmar, and I just think it's a fabulous kind of article. It's really, really in-depth, looking at the different cities, and it just kind of shows that how in this kind of, I guess, reiteration of Age of Sigmar, they're really leaning into the Dawnbreaker Crusades and the cities themselves, and exploring how humans are dealing with the chaos and all the things going on around them in the weight of the Broken Realms. So we've got colour schemes of Anvil Guard, all the main cities that you can see there. Really nice one for the Living City. Just some really interesting ideas. I like how they've included the the iconography too. So if you wanted to have a go at doing that for scenery and the like, you could do so. And then we've got some examples here. The Iron Squadron of Anvil Guard by Ben Johnson. And this is really interesting. I really like the kit bashing with the steam tanks. I can see some of the Caradron as well. Some really, really cool ideas there, and they look great. And I've got some conversion and painting ideas to kind of make your models stand out. Some more steam tanks that look really effective. Wow, definitely some ideas there. And then into the cities of Sigmar. So what better way to show off the majesty and splendour of the cities than two awe-inspiring displays? And this definitely looks like a kind of armies on parade showcase because they're fab. Really nice ideas there. Free Guild of Hallowheart. Oh wow, I like the Bastillodon. Crikey, that looks class. There's some nice conversions there. I really do hope we see a kind of refresh of the cities models. I did a kind of episode for Realm's Edge a few months back, I think it was, where we looked at the kind of future of the humans, and it's looking really bright at the moment, I will say that. So we've got the J-Files next. The J-Files are it's a tongue twister, an anomaly in the space-time continuum, dragged kicking and screaming from the days of White Dwarf's past. So we've got a very last and special J-Files column where he muses, this is Jervis Johnson, muses on his time at Games Workshop and his hopes for a kind of bright and shining future. Temporal Distort, battle reports, how they've changed throughout the years. I think in some favourite ones as well. They definitely look a little bit different to how they used to. And it's brilliant how you've got so many of them on YouTube and, other channels, and, really kind of shows that the future of battle reports is definitely looking bright. And kind of just revisit some of the interesting ones, and then we've got Building Your Party. The cursed city of Ulfenkarn has been overrun by the undead. Populace cowed by the half-feral vampire Radikar the Wolf. In this month's article, we take a look at party builds. Will you go in all guns blazing, all hammers swinging, or a combination of the two? So some things to consider and talk about if you are playing Cursed City. Definitely maybe an interesting article for you guys. Glory Points is where we are delving into the development of the game, rules, tactics, and gameplay. This time they talk about the designing of warbands. There we go. Vital Cargo is all Aeronautica Imperialis. So this is about delivering vital supplies, employing the services of an Arvus Lighter, the logistical workhorse of the Aeronautica Imperialis. We've got evacuation rules, Grand Grot Derby, then Blood Bowl, red cards and rule keepers. As the ultimate arbiters on the Blood Bowl pitch, referees have the last say when it comes to sending off misbehaving players. Here we present new rules for using Blood Bowl referee models in your games. Lace up your boots and prepare for kickoff. And those were our kind of card pullouts, so if you wanted to use those in your games, you can do so. Next, we've got the Heir of Isildur, looking at the tactical attentions of one of the most recognisable characters from the game, the chieftain of the Dundane and heir to the throne of Gondor, Aragorn. So with the kind of Duardin, the Wanderer series finished, we've now got I Behemat by Eric Gregory. Now this one seems to be a kind of standalone one. I don't think it's going to be a series. It's about a cunning grot by the name of Yagle pondering his future. Yumi settlements are everywhere, big beasts could eat him, and his tribe are not keen on seeing his face again anytime soon. If only he had an ally, and I think you guys can guess who that might be. It's quite an interesting story. It doesn't mention it about it kind of being continued. It just says that there's going to be more stories in the future. Inside the studio, we've got Hobby Bingo, some model showcases, and then next month, A Storm is coming. Now, that to me was quite interesting. And the reason being is because in the Broken Realms kind of fiction that Games Workshop have been producing, and that is on the kind of Broken Realms website, there was one that was just released recently, and it was called about a scale, and it was to do with the Seraphon. And basically it took a look into the kind of narrative with them, and it was about how Kragnos, had wreaked havoc, and it was to do with how the Seraphon had been in communication with the Draconith, and they were basically entrusted with a clutch of eggs. And at the end of the story, it says, a storm is coming. It was to do with a scale and storm, or something like that. So I don't know whether it's going to be to do with the Seraphon, and the storm is going to be to do with kind of Age of Sigmar, Kragnos, and the kind of beasts that were after the Draconith. Who knows? It could be to do with the Draconith riders that are rumoured for Stormcast. We will have to wait and see. But it was an interesting kind of title, that A Storm is coming, and for the narrative to end on a storm and scale, and there was a darkness on the way to do with these Draconith eggs. So we'll have to wait and see. But all in all, I'd love to get your opinion of what you thought of this kind of issue of White Dwarf. Do you think it's one you're going to be picking up, or are you going to maybe leave this one for the time being? Thank you ever so much for joining me. It's always been a pleasure to kind of talk with you guys, and I'm looking forward to doing so in the comments below. Thanks once again, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.